Tomorrow, Pam Bondi will be facing serious questions when she meets with the House Oversight Committee behind closed doors about the Epstein investigation. A Democrat on the committee says it will be transcribed, but has called for her to testify under oath and on camera. My next guest has made the same plea to Republican Chairman James Comer. Joining us now, the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, Democratic Congressman Robert Garcia of California. I'm wondering what the pros and cons are. We know what you would like to see happen. Why do you think that's important? And what's the argument you're getting from the chairman?
Well, the chairman hasn't actually addressed it. Let's be clear. There is no reason that we should not videotape the entire transcribed interview from the former attorney general. This is an incredibly important moment for the Epstein investigation. Pam Bondi has a lot to answer for. Why are only 50% of the files released? Why were the names of survivors, as we know, doxxed and really put in danger? Many of them were put in danger during this process. Why still has there been no real information about the president's name, which was put in and then removed, and the files were moved around? There's so many questions for the attorney general. And this idea that Republicans don't want to release the interview as an actual video to the public, which they, of course, have done on all these other interviews recently, is crazy. And it really leads to this idea of a massive, coordinated cover-up. We're looking forward to the interview, but it needs to be released to the public.
Well, while you're advocating for it to be on camera, we've seen Pam Bondi, let's say, contentious in live settings when the cameras are rolling. And I just want to remind folks, here are some exchanges from her last public congressional hearing.
Why?
I have asked
Didn't she ask Merrick Garland this?
I am reclaiming my time, and when I reclaim my time, it is
Mr. Chairman, the gentlelady has reclaimed her
I'm not going
time.
to get in the gutter for her theatrics.
How many have you indicted?
Excuse me. I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
No, I'm going to answer the question the way I want to answer the question.
No,
Your
you're gonna answer the
theatrics are
question the way I
ridiculous. Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
Red-handed. There was one redaction out
Where
of
he's
over
listed as a
4,700,
co-conspirator.
and we invited you in. This
Show
guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get, you're a failed politician.
Yeah.
So I think it's fair to say not a lot was learned. Do you have any hope, any expectation that if there is a closed door setting, if the cameras aren't rolling, maybe she changes her approach, maybe it produces more answers?
Well, look, she needs to answer our questions. And at the end of the day, she's no longer the attorney general. And so this is an opportunity for her to be honest, to come clean, to give us the facts so that we can understand why there has been this consistent cover-up. Why did the president call this investigation a hoax? Why did she try to bury and stop this investigation? Why have there been no criminal convictions? And why is 50% of the files still not released to the public? So these are fair questions. These are questions that Democrats have, and there are some Republicans that have joined us to also push for these answers. We are once again demanding the Republican chairman of this committee to ensure that this is released in a videotape to the American public and the media. Why the cover-up? So we're going to ask the right questions. We're going to share as much as we know from this interview, that the Attorney General has been at the center of this Epstein scandal and cover-up led by the White House.
So if Bondi ends up being evasive, if she stonewalls your questions, other lawmakers' questions tomorrow, is there anything you can do?
There is. I mean, one, look, this is not the only conversation that we can have with her. And I think certainly if we win the majority, I think the former attorney general can expect more questions from us. There are going to be other parts of this investigation that start coming together in the months ahead where we may want to speak to her again. And we are going to wait and see how the Republicans actually treat this interview tomorrow. Are they going to treat it as the serious exercise that it needs to be as part of this investigation? Or are they going to be there to try to continue to cover up and lie and ensure that we're diverting the actual facts and not getting justice for the survivors? Look, Pam Bondi never sat down and met with all the survivors. They begged her to do so. It is a shame that she refused to meet with the survivors. It's a shame that the current acting attorney general, Todd Blanche, has done everything to try to hide and essentially evade our questions. He's also not met with the survivors. So we have a lot of questions tomorrow, and the attorney general needs to explain why there has been so much corruption at the Justice Department.
So you say she could be brought back. As I'm sure you now know, she's now facing an ethics complaint brought to the Florida bar by a coalition of legal groups, including a former Florida Supreme Court justice. They accuse her of coercing DOJ lawyers into unethical acts, pursuing cases without probable cause, and the mishandling of the release of the sensitive Epstein victims' records. Could that open up new lines of questioning for her?
Absolutely. Look, Pam Bondi is no longer the AG, but certainly she was at the center of an enormous amount of weaponization and corruption at the Department of Justice. I mean, the way that Donald Trump essentially made that department his own personal team of lawyers, the way that he went after and continues to go after his political enemies, the way that he has used the legal system to go after folks that he feels has wronged him or wronged his family and friends. And Pam Bondi has been completely complicit in all of that. She has supported everything the president has wanted. The weaponization of the Department of Justice has been unprecedented. The way they have not listened to survivors, not convicted, not gone after those that have been guilty of serious crimes is crazy. The way they've treated the January 6ers. I mean, they've essentially said that they are heroes in some ways. And now they want to give them, as you know, $1.8 billion. There's a possibility that some of them may get from this crazy illegal fund that Donald Trump has set up. So there's a lot that Pam Bondi needs to talk about, and we look forward to asking those questions and her answering them tomorrow.
Some of the questions that have been answered, the information that's gotten out there, has been driven, first of all, of course, by the survivors who have been unrelenting and have found allies in folks like you, members of Congress, but also the American people who looked at this and said, look, something's not right here. We want answers. But do you have a sense that with everything else that's going on, with war and the economy, that pressure is fading and it makes your job and what you want to do with this more difficult?
Look, the reality is when I'm out in the community, being back home in California, people are constantly asking me about the Epstein files. The American public understands that this is important. Absolutely. The American public consistently is asking us to close this investigation, to get justice for the survivors. They continue to push. It is constant. And I think what people understand is that this is just bigger than this investigation. We're talking about whether women and girls in this country, when they report the most horrific thing that could happen to them, whether it's rape or abuse or it's trafficking, is their government going to actually respond? Is the government going to actually do something to take on these powerful men and these men that are committing these horrific acts and crimes? And so we owe it to the women and girls in our families, in our schools, to our students, that this government can actually stand up and prosecute and take on these men that are committing these horrific acts. And it's these same men that are not just abusing women and girls, but then are stealing our taxpayer dollars with no consequence. It is time for this group, this powerful group of the Epstein class, to actually have accountability in this country.
Well, we look forward to hearing from you and others who are inside that room tomorrow if you get some of the answers you're looking for. Congressman Robert Garcia, thank you so much. It's good to see you again.